Welcome one, welcome all. How you doing out there tonight, today? Good morning, in the morning. Whatever time it is that you're watching this, I hope you're having a great day and a sober day today. And I hope everybody's doing well out there. I invite you to stick around. My name is Glenn. Let's make sure that we're broadcasting first of all. I had that problem last night. 1, 2, test, test. Yep, looks like we're going out in no problem at all. Okay. And of course, I can't hear myself over on my other computer because it's not behaving itself. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, so let's get this show on the road, as they say. Whether you found this live stream because you're in AA, NA, or Celebrate Recovery, or some other recovery program, maybe you're working the steps, maybe not. Maybe there's somebody that you love that's in the middle of a struggle and you don't fully understand it yet. Or maybe you just stumbled in here by mistake because the algorithm thought that you might need it. Whatever the reason, I believe you're supposed to be here, and I do welcome you to my live stream, Aware and Convinced. That is the channel. And of course, we have a lot of other videos up as well as the live streams that are recorded. So what we're going to do is stay sober for the next hour or so. And again, my name is Glenn. I've got over 5,000 days in recovery, sober, after 40 plus years of drinking and carousing. Is that still a word? Carousing? I think so. And this channel is not about shame or blame. It's about honesty, accountability, and the raw reality of addiction. And maybe a little education. And of course, we also talk about the hope of recovery as well. And just keep in mind that recovery, of course, doesn't erase the past, but it does give us a chance to be forgiven for it. One honest step at a time, one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time. And with a little help and a lot of commitment, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I want you to consider this your safe space, your refuge, your home away from home. And I welcome you with open arms. So if you're ready to leave the old life behind and start building a new one, or just strengthening your sobriety, if you have a few hours of sobriety, we can do that together with a little help from God or your higher power, whatever you happen to choose it to be. Stick around. And if you have any questions or comments, just be sure and drop them in the chat, please. And if you're so inclined, please click the thumbs up, the like button, and subscribe. And that way we'll make sure we can get our message out to more people that want to escape addiction. Okay? Do that for me, will you? Otherwise, there's no charge for this live stream. No charge at all. No, I don't have anything like super chats. I don't have a program I want to sell you. I'm not selling my time. So, as absolutely no charge. So, come on in, sit down and relax. Grab yourself a chair. All right. So, what are we doing? I want to mention the resources that I do use throughout the broadcast, and that is, of course, the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, the Big Book of NA, the Big Blue Book, and of course, Celebrate Recovery Study Bible. Wouldn't be caught without it. I don't know if you can see that. It's very bright, isn't it? There it is. Just about see it over there. All right. And we also have a couple other resources that I just found in my collection. The Living Sober book, AA Living Sober, and AA Came to Believe. And we're going to definitely look into those in a future live stream as well. They got some great stories in there and great lessons on how to get sober, how to stay sober, and it's really well worth it. If you want to purchase, of course, Amazon has all of these books, as well as probably a billion. I wonder how many books that Amazon really has. Probably a billion, maybe. I don't know. Maybe even more than that. But they are all available on Amazon, and they're very, very inexpensive for what you get. Well worth it. So I was pondering what to get into today on the live stream, and this topic came up in one of the discussions, and it's very important topic. It's relevant to recovery and addiction, and it is why getting sober doesn't always make the pain go away. It's all about trauma underneath the addiction. It happens. And there's a lot of trauma out there. And there's a lot of addicts out there, whether it's alcohol, drugs, food, money, bills, porn, whatever your addiction is. There just may be some underlying trauma that keeps you in your addiction. So, grab my ice water. So I want to start with a question that might be a little uncomfortable, but I think it's the most important one that we could ask right now. And that is, why do some people get sober, genuinely commit to doing the work, and still, even if they're determined to get sober, do all the work it takes, they still feel awful. Not the regular hard, not that the regular sobriety is hard. I mean, it can be. It's really, how do I put this? Getting sober is simple. It's simple. But the process can be a little difficult. It's not impossible by any means, because there's millions of us that have got sober and stayed sober. So, why is it that some people feel awful still after they get a little bit of sobriety? Getting sober almost feels like it made things worse. Because at least when you were using and abusing, you weren't feeling. Those feelings you didn't have because they were drowned in your addiction. I think it's one of the least talked about parts of recovery, in my opinion. And here's the question I want you to sit with just for a little bit, and we'll come back to it. Here's the question. If the addiction was never really the root problem, what actually is? And what do you do with it? If the addiction was never really the root problem, what actually is, and what do you do with it? Okay, so hang on to that. Um, whether you've been sober for a while and there's still a pain that won't quit, or you're in early recovery and you're confused because sobriety dredged up stuff that you weren't expecting, that happens. Or you love somebody in recovery and you can tell something is still really wrong underneath. Well, then I want you to listen up, okay? Because what we're going to talk about is the relationship between trauma and addiction. It answers so many questions that people in recovery walk around with, and they never get a real answer to those questions. So let's look at it, see what we can do with it. So the thing that nobody really prepares you for is when you get sober, right? The substance was doing a job, burying all those feelings. For most people, the drinking, the using, didn't start as a party that just got out of control. For a lot of people, it started as a solution to pain, to anxiety, to a memory that wouldn't quiet down. Guilty. To a feeling that they had no other way to manage. The substance was the answer to a question. And the question was, how do I survive what's inside me? And then when you get sober, of course, you remove the answer, the stuff, but the question is still there. And that's why so many people get sober and they feel like they're drowning in a different way, because the thing that the substance was managing, the underlying pain, the unresolved trauma, the old wounds that never healed, none of that went anywhere. It was just being managed. And now it's not. It's there, and you feel it. Well, real quick, let's take a look and make sure that we're talking about the same thing here, because a lot of people hear the word trauma and they think, well, that's for people who went through something extreme. Trauma is bigger than that. Trauma is anything that happened to you or happened around you or was supposed to happen but didn't. That was too much for your nervous system to handle at the time. So instead of processing it, your brain filed it away and kept you moving. It's a brilliant survival move. Problem is, what gets filed away, it doesn't disappear. It waits patiently. And it comes back as feelings that you can't explain, reactions that seem too big, and a heaviness that has no obvious source. What are the different forms? Trauma can be childhood neglect, loss that was never grieved, abuse of any kind, chronic stress over the years, or love and safety that were supposed to be there, and it wasn't. Any of it, unresolved, can drive an addiction in ways that willpower alone cannot touch. The relationship is simple. Trauma creates unbearable internal experiences, and substances provides fast, reliable relief. Sounds like a ad for a pharmaceutical. Oh, maybe it is. The brain's not weak when it reaches for that relief. It's doing exactly what distressed brains do: reach for what works. Does it bury that trauma? Yeah, sure does. And that means when you remove that substance without addressing what it was managing, recovery becomes incredibly hard to sustain. And that is what's happening when somebody says, I feel worse now than when I was using, when I was drinking, when I was overeating. They're not doing recovery wrong. They're doing recovery without the second half. And I want to stop right here for a minute, because one of the cruelest things that trauma does is to make you feel completely unseen. Like what you've carried has never been truly witnessed by anyone. Psalm 34, verses 12 and 18 from the Celebrate Recovery Bible. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Oh, I've heard that before many times, and it's so true. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Close to the brokenhearted, not close to the put together people, not close to the ones who have it all figured out. Close to the brokenhearted, crushed in spirit. Those are trauma words. And what this is saying is that weight is not unnoticed. It is seen from closeness, not from a distance. And whatever brought you onto this stream, you are not carrying it as alone as it might feel. You are not alone. So what actually happens when the substance comes out and the trauma comes up? Well, let me tell you three things specifically that happens. One, the grief that was always there finally has room to move. Substances suppress grief. When sobriety comes, the grief doesn't wait politely, it shows up. Sometimes in ways that feel way too big for what's actually happening right now, because it's not about right now, it's about everything that happened and was never fully felt. Way back in the past. Number two, the shame that was medicated becomes visible. Now, this is a big one. A lot of trauma survivors internalize what happened to them not as something bad happened to me, but as something bad about me caused this to happen. Wow. And that's shame. And shame burns. It doesn't respond to logic. You can tell yourself you're not bad 100 times, and the shame doesn't move because it lives deeper than your thoughts. And when sobriety arrives, the shame that the substance was quieting becomes much more visible. And the body remembers exactly what made it quiet before. And that's the relapse pressure, that unaddressed trauma. It's not a moral failure. It's a nervous system reaching for relief. That's all. And number three, speaking of nervous system, trauma lives in the body, not just in the mind. Substances dampen the nervous system's alarm. And when sobriety happens to come in, that alarm comes back online. Anxiety spikes. Small things feel threatening. The body's in kind of a low grade emergency that nothing in the current moment actually justifies because it's responding to the past, not the present. And teaching your nervous system that the emergency's over takes real work, takes time and support and therapy sometimes. But it is very possible. Very possible. There's a verse in Ezekiel, and I think it perfectly describes both what trauma does and what healing does. Ezekiel 36, verse 26 says, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Wow. A heart of stone, that's what the nervous system builds up after it's injured time and time and time again. It hardens because soft things get hurt. Soft things feel everything. And feeling everything, when what you're feeling is pain, becomes unbearable. So the heart learns to shut down. And I want to be very clear here that hardening is not a character flaw, it's a survival strategy. You made it through because something in you knew how to protect the most damaged parts. But a heart of stone can't receive love, cannot feel real connection, and cannot heal. The heart of flesh, that's what makes healing possible. Not going back to before the wound, but becoming someone who can feel again without being destroyed by the feeling itself. Does that make any sense? The heart of flesh is what healing makes possible. Okay, so let's talk about what you actually do, because it helps to have the information. I mean, without a path forward here, it's just going to sit there. So what do you do? What do you do? How do we get rid of this? How do we cope with that trauma? Well, name what happened. Stop minimizing it. What happened? Now, the most common thing that I see is people hesitating to call what happened to them trauma. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Other people had it worse. I'm not a victim. But remember this, you cannot heal what you don't acknowledge. That's true through the recovery process from beginning to end, or beginning to infinity. There is no end. It isn't about blame, it's about accuracy. Something happened, it had an effect, and you deserve to look at it honestly, because that's where healing starts. Your pain doesn't have to win a comparison contest to deserve attention, right? Your pain is your pain, and you feel it. Get some trauma help. Not just any help, trauma help. Not just a therapist, a trauma-informed therapist, somebody that specializes in that. If you need a therapist, if you feel you do, go get one. Because here's why that matters. Trauma is not primarily stored as a story in your mind, it's stored as a sensation in your body. Just retelling the story without processing the body's response, it doesn't release the trauma. It can actually reinforce it. There are trauma enforced approaches to trauma relief. It's like EMDR, somatic therapy, family systems. All of these work at a level where trauma actually lives. Now, your sponsor, and you should have one, your sponsor is irreplaceable. A trauma informed therapist is also irreplaceable. They do completely different things, and if you're in recovery with unresolved trauma, you'll likely need both. Some people don't. They make it through the trauma to the other side. I'm one. My therapy, thank God, was God and AA, of course. Which brings me to your recovery community, whichever one it is that you prefer, whether it's AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, or some other recovery program that's out there, and there's a lot of them. All those rooms can be genuinely healing environments, but only if you let them. Showing up and performing okayness, we talked about that before. That gives you the experience of being surrounded by people while still being completely alone because you haven't overcome. But when you let somebody in, when you say the actual true thing and stay safe because of it, your nervous system gets new information. It learns that being known doesn't always mean getting hurt. Every real intersection is how the trauma heals. And be patient. Because trauma recovery isn't a 90-day program. It's non-linear. There will be setbacks, there will be days that you feel like you've lost ground, and that's normal. It's how significant healing actually works. Give yourself the same compassion that you'd give a friend healing from a serious injury. Do the work, trust the process, and give it time. And don't pick up or use. That would truly be a setback. One more scripture, because it's so pertinent. Isaiah 61, verses 1 and 3. This one always gets me. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. Wow. A crown of beauty instead of ashes. Sit with that image for a while. Ashes are what's left after something burns, right? After the thing already happened. The promise isn't that the fire didn't happen. The ashes are real, the burning happened, and now beauty instead of ashes. Not instead of the experience, instead of what the experience leaves you holding. And the garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair, that heavy, pervasive weight that trauma leaves, it can be replaced, not by pretending, by the actual hard work of letting the inside get healed. And whatever the ashes are in your story, I've got buckets full. They're real, they matter, and they're not the final word. And I want to drop the structure of this trauma business and just speak to you one on one. What you've been carrying is real. The weight is real. The way it shaped your decisions and your relationship with substances, yeah. That's not a character flaw. That's completely logical response to things that happened to you that should not have happened. You didn't choose the trauma. You didn't choose, not in any simple sense, to need the thing that managed it. You were doing the best that you could with the tools that you had. And also the tools that got you where you are or where you were are not the tools that'll get you to where you want to be. Fact. Sobriety is the beginning, but only the beginning. The second half is doing the work inside. And the people who do that work don't end up in the same place they started. They end up somewhere else. The using version of themselves couldn't even imagine. Not perfect, not pain-free, but alive in a different way, present, connected, and carrying their history without being crushed by it. And that's possible for you, starting now, with just the next step, baby step. Okay, I promised that I'd come back to that question. Here it is. Okay, if the addiction was never really the root problem, what actually is? And what do you do with it? Well, the root problem for so many people in recovery is pain that never got to be processed. Yeah. Experiences that happened or didn't happen that were too much to absorb at the time. Yep, I can relate to that. Wounds. Wounds that the substance, whichever substance you decided to choose, was covering up so you could keep going. Again, just to repeat, and I can't repeat this enough, it's not a character flaw. It's not weakness. Pain needed somewhere to go, and it found the wrong place in your addiction. Your addiction covered it, drove you to your addiction. And what do you do with that? You stop running from what sobriety uncovered, and you turn toward it with the right help. With a recovery community, AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, or some other recovery process, rehab, you turn to that community. With a higher power, you bring the real stuff to bear on that pain. With the tools that help your nervous system learn that the emergency's over now. The addiction was the way that you turned away from the pain. Recovery, That's the practice of turning toward it. And trauma healing is what makes that possible without being destroyed in the process. Sobriety creates this space. Trauma healing fills it with something real. You need both. You deserve both. Both are available to you. All right, let me leave you with just a couple of things on our talk about trauma. If you're in recovery and you're feeling more pain than you expected, you're not doing it wrong. Pain means the sobriety is working. Don't walk through it alone. Find one person today, someone you trust, your sponsor, a therapist, someone in your community, a pastor. Let them in on what's actually happening to you. Another thing you can do, if you've relapsed and you think trauma might be a part of it, well, you're not broken, okay, first of all. You tried to manage the pain with the wrong tool, and then tried to stop the tool without addressing the pain. You can start again with a better picture of what's going on inside of you. That's what today and this live stream today was all about. And if you are if you're one of a group of people that, well, you're not the worst things that happen to you. You are not the worst thing. You're a person with a story, and it's still being written. And the inside work is the hardest work. And it's also the most important. And you're not too far gone to do it by any means. You just have to take the next step toward it. You are worth the inside work. Go do it. Okay? Go do it. You're worth it. So that was our little discussion on trauma, why getting sober doesn't always make the pain go away. That's a word, that's an interesting word because a lot of folks don't identify with that word when they should. That pain, old wounds. Okay. So where are we? Now, a little bit of water here will help. Ice water, cheers. Very good. So I mentioned this book, Living Sober, and I did want to touch on it because although it's a short, it's a small, thin book, and again, it's available on Amazon. But I wanted to dig into it a little bit because it does have so many interesting sections in here with a whole lot of great information. Not only about AA itself, but about the words living sober. And what about that? The words living sober or staying sober. So, even the word stay sober, let alone live sober, offended many of us when we first heard such advice. And I'm just reading the first title page here from Living Sober. Although we had done a lot of drinking, many of us never felt drunk. And we're sure we almost never appeared or sounded drunk. Never. Many of us never staggered, fell, never had a car wreck, never disorderly, never missed a day at work, and certainly were never hospitalized or jailed. Yeah. Nope. We knew lots of people who drank more than we did, and people who couldn't handle their drinks at all. Now, obviously, this is focused on the alcoholic as opposed to the drug addict. And we'll get into that with the NA Big Book maybe next time, because it's absolutely part of what we do and very important to you as well. So we never knew those people. We knew lots of people who drank more than we did, and people who couldn't handle their drinks at all. And we weren't like that. So the suggestion that maybe we should stay sober was almost insulting. Besides, it seemed unnecessarily drastic. I mean, how could we live that way? Surely there was nothing wrong with a cocktail or two at a business lunch or before dinner. Nah. Wasn't everybody entitled to relax with a few drinks or have a couple of beers before going to bed? However, after we learned some of the facts about the illness called alcoholism, our opinion shifted. Our eyes have been opened to the fact that apparently millions of people have the disease of alcoholism. Medical science does not explain its cause, but medical experts on alcoholism assure us that any drinking at all leads to trouble for the alcoholic or problem drinker. If you drink and have problems, you're a problem drinker. That's for sure. Our experience overwhelmingly confirms this. Oh, yes, it does. So not drinking at all, that is staying sober, becomes the basis of recovery from alcoholism. And let it be emphasized, living sober turns out to be not at all grim, boring, or uncomfortable. No, as we had feared. Oh, and uncomfortable as we had feared, but rather something we begin to enjoy and find much more exciting than our drinking days. And that's the truth. And in this book, we'll show you how. Great little entry page here. This is Living Sober, copyright 2019. First printing was in 1975, so it's not all that old. 50 years, 51, 2 years. Great little book. And again, it's available on Amazon, Living Sober. Pick up a copy at your local Amazon store today. Okay. Well, absolutely worth it. A small price to pay. And gosh, lots of good information. Why not drinking? We members of Alcoholics Anonymous see the answer to that question when we look honestly at our own past lives. Our experience clearly proves that any drinking at all leads to serious trouble for the alcoholic or problem drinker. In the words of the American Medical Association. So this is directly from the American Medical Association. Alcohol, aside from its addictive qualities, also has a psychological effect that modifies thinking and reasoning. Oh, yes. You think? One drink can change the thinking of an alcoholic so that he feels that he can tolerate another, and then another, and another. The alcoholic can learn to completely control his disease, but the affliction cannot be cured so that he can return to alcohol without adverse consequences. Those consequences will get you every time. And that's a fact, Jack. And we repeat, somewhat to our surprise, staying sober turns out not to be the grim, wet blanket experience we'd expected. While we were drinking, a life without alcohol seemed like no life at all. But for most members of AA, living sober is really living, a joyous experience. We much prefer it to the troubles we had with drinking. Oh, yes, indeed. And one more note, anybody can get sober. Anyone can get sober. We have all done it lots of times. The trick is to stay and to live sober. That is what this booklet is all about. Wonderful stuff. So, hey, we did a first reading there. Living sober. I like it. I like it. Just a little bit of it. All right. Let's see. Okay, we had talked about that already. Touched on that. Hey, there is a website. What is the name of that website again? Let me find it. Let's see if I can find it on this computer. I might have to go to my other computer. Let's see. Bear with me just a minute. There is a website. What is it here? Where is it? Is it in here? Hang on. I'm looking for the website. I wanted to pass this along to you. If you haven't already found it, okay, now all I have to do is find it. Where the heck did I do it? Come on now. Oh, here it is. I found this website. I really like it too. And I don't know. There's probably a half a dozen or more of these websites out there, but this one I like. This is called Great Inspirational Quotes.com. And these are great inspirational quotes. And they really are. So just kind of round off today's live stream, I do want to just read a couple of these quotes. And when it comes to recovery and addiction, this is, in my opinion, these quotes are perfect. Perfect. These are letting go quotes. Now, a lot of these people, I don't know who they are. However, I'm going to read the quotes anyway, and I'll make sure they get the credit. So, the art of living lies in a fine mingling of letting go and holding on. And that is Havelock Ellis. Oh, here's one that you'll recognize. Breathe, let go, and remind yourself that this very moment is the only one you know you have for sure. Oh, so true. Guess who? Oprah Winfrey. By letting it go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let go. But when you try and try, the world is beyond the winning. That's Lao Tzu. Courage is the power to let go of the familiar. Raymond Lindquist. Creativity can be described as letting go of certainties. Gail Sheehy. Getting over a painful experience is much like crossing monkey bars. You have to let go at some point in order to move forward. Author unknown. And you can hear how these apply directly to recovery, letting go. Hanging on to resentment is letting someone you despise live rent-free in your head. By the late, great Ann Landers. Inner peace can be reached only when we practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is letting go of the past and is therefore the means for correcting our misperceptions. Gerald Lampolsky. Go. Why do you cling to pain? There's nothing you can do about the wrongs of yesterday. It's not yours to judge. Why hold on to the very thing which keeps you from hope and love? Leo Buscaglia. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, but rather accepting that there are things that cannot be. Anonymous. Loving someone is setting them free. Letting them go. Loving someone is setting them free. Letting them go. That one I'm a little confused on, but that's just me. That's Kate Winslet, the actress. People have a hard time letting go of their suffering. Out of a fear of the unknown, they prefer suffering that's familiar. How true is that? That is from, oh boy, this is going to be a good one. Thich Nhat Hanh. I hope I pronounced his name or her name correctly. Some think it's holding on that makes one strong. Sometimes it's letting go. Sylvia Robinson. So there's another page and a half of these, but they're so true. Let me find one more here. Think about any attachments that are depleting your emotional reserves. Consider letting them go. And I'll wrap it up with this one here from Lao Tzu, great Chinese philosopher. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Boy, doesn't that fit. Doesn't that fit the recovery process? Absolutely. So that's from great-inspirational-quotes.com. Looks like the website was built back in 1999. But whenever it was built, it's got great information there. You can't beat that. All right. No offense, great inspirational quotes. I do love the site. I really do. Okay. And that is that. So we'll let go of that right there. And Wish you a great sober evening, sober morning, sober afternoon, whenever you're watching this live stream. And I hope you do watch it and get a little bit out of it. It's been a pleasure to be here. Remember the 3 pillars of sobriety, courtesy of Bill W. Trust God, clean house, and help others. God bless our veterans, active and inactive and retired, all of them. God bless you veterans out there, and God bless you as well. And don't forget that somebody out there loves you. And we'll catch you next time around. See you then.